Nananum, this great Ashanti kingdom, now over 300 years old, has stood the test of time and achieved consequence all over the world. Nana Santehene, during the era of conquests, your predecessors and grandfathers led this Ashanti nation to conquer. We still remember the conquering hands of your grandfather Opoku-Ware I, for during the 20-year period between 1726 and 1746, he conquered giants like Achimkwewu, Techiman, Ga Dangbe, Gonja, Dagomba, and as well as all the way to Karachi. Nana Santehene, those were the days of the era of wars and warriorism, territory grabbing, conquests, and its eventual consequence called colonialism. With colonialism came the anti-colonial movements and the various struggles. Here again, your grandfather Prempeh II was available to assist and to lead with consequence and circumstance.
That night, the Asantehene was able to talk to Lennox Boyd at a dinner arranged by Colin Russell.
And I think Lennox Boyd was very impressed with the courtesy, the genuineness, the strength of appeal of the Asantehene, who loved his people and really was their king.
Post-colonial Ghana was fraught with conflicts, military interventions, and at least 3 failed attempts at democracy. Here again, your predecessor, Opoku-Ware II, was a bulwark to help steer the affairs of the country into a fourth republic. His diplomacy and magnanimity kept Ghana together as one nation, one people, united to build a new democracy. Ashanti was strong in the era of wars and has been even stronger in the era of peace, unity, and leadership for all mankind. So Nana Santehene, we remember your history, the history of the Osei-Poku dynasty, a narrative of conquests, of anti-colonialism, of nurturing democracy for Ghana. And today, we celebrate your enduring leadership, an icon of peace, an engine of growth and prosperity, a representation of unity and stability. The Yendi Skin dispute, which led to the eventual beheading of an incumbent Yana in 2002, is one of the longest skin disputes in modern history. It began in 1968 and only ended when you, Nana Santehene, decided to dedicate your time, strength, and effort to resolving the crisis. And this happened when President J.A. Kufuor appointed you to lead the road to peace in Dagbon. Combining that with the visionary leadership of President Akufo-Addo, who had long indicated his commitment to resolving this matter before he ascended the presidency in 2017. Nana Santehene, after you chaired over 1,000 separate meetings in this Menchia Palace, you confidently guided the process to its logical conclusion without fear, favor, or political influence.
No one can take my son and my liking you as my children to misbehave in front of me. Now, if the Yana were sitting here, then you cannot misbehave like that, so you don't do that in front of me. I hold that authority and power here, and therefore no one. Please, let me have the patience as my sons to resolve, try and find solutions to this. But I don't want anyone to take it for granted. No.
Let me put it on record that at no time has any president or party or political party brought any influence at all on this committee. None of them. You have not brought any pressure on us to resolve this. Sure, they know I would never allow anyone to bring pressure on me to settle issues on whether the president likes it this way or not. That no one can force me to do it. So we've come to this conclusion based on the customs and traditions of Dagbon, and we want to assure you that we'll continue through that till we get a new Yana. So the impression that the MPP is now here and they're in a hurry to perform the funeral of Na Muhammadu, no, that's not the issue. So the president sitting there has not brought any pressure on me to resolve that. And I've gone through NDC and MPP governments, and none of them brought any pressure on me. We've resolved this through the customs and traditions, and we are here to present that to you, Mr. President. So thank you very much.
On that same day, you gave the roadmap to the enduring solution to the almost half a century old Yendi Skin dispute.
We've come here to inform you. This committee took a decision and said that the funeral of Na Muhammadu Abdullahi should be performed from the 14th of December to the 28th of December this year.
So,
they have a 1-week respite, and the next will be from the 4th to the 19th or 18th of January. Then the Andanis would also perform. On that very day, the last day, the Friday, there are 4 recognized elders who have to sit in seclusion, and then they would have to do their oracles to choose a new Yana. And that starts from the very Friday that the funeral of Naya Kubu Andani finishes. So we hopefully believe so that after the 18th, the oracles will start, and God willing, within the few days, we shall have a new Yana. So, and that's what I've come to present to you.
Nana Asante, everything you said on that occasion happened according to plan, and then the grand occasion occurred.
A month ago, almost to the day, I was in Yindi, fittingly attired as a self-proclaimed Prince of Dagbon, to witness the installation of Yana Muhammad Abukari II as the overlord of Dagbon. Thousands of our compatriots were there to share in the joy of the occasion. It was a ceremony that many had despaired we would ever see. But a new Yana, accepted by the 2 gates of Abudu and Andani, was installed on that day. It brought to an end decades of feuding that laid low the proud and ancient kingdom of Dagbon. It was a happy day, and it marked the climax of a long, tortuous journey and a hard grind on the part of many people through the years. Mr. Speaker, I was not looking to be accorded any special title or accolade, and I was certainly not looking for praise. I did want to do whatever I could to make sure that this long-running sword that was such a blight on Dagbon and Ghana, and which dragged down the development process in our country, could be resolved and we could move on. We had spent enough emotional stress, enough time, enough energy, and enough money on the Dagbon dispute. I wanted that amount of emotion, that time, that energy, and that money to be spent on trying to make Dagbon and Ghana prosperous.
Nana Asante, on this note, we say thank you for your efforts to bring lasting peace to Dagbon. We know you fought hard, you thought hard, and you led steadfastly to bring Ghana another piece of glory. You thoroughly deserve this commemorative lunch. To Mr. President, we say thank you. It is under your presidency that all the work came to fruition.
We started from President Kufuor, and then we went through late Professor Mills, and then we went through President Mahama, and then now you sit in the chair, and I stand before you here to present Dagbon as where we have reached now. And therefore, maybe you are the luckiest president because
Thank you for your vision. Nanano, yedamo cienza.
This Ghana will be defined by integrity, sovereignty, a common ethos, discipline, and shared values. It is one where we aim to be masters.
Welcome to the show. There's a song they used to sing at the stadium. Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. Arsenal will not win the league. Que sera, sera. Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. Arsenal cannot win the league. Que sera, sera. Well. I feel very sorry. You know, one of my children is Arsenal, and I feel very sorry about that. But the point is, you want to be a championship team.
Yep.
You don't, with 5 weeks to go, lose to Aston Villa 2-0 at the Emirates.
Yeah.
And after that, you are talking up your chances of winning that. I can't understand Arteta.
Yeah.
You were sitting in your home.
And got beat.
Aston Villa came to beat you 2-0. And after that, you are talking up your chances. What did he say? I can feel something.
Yes. And then they're even ordered for the trophy parade on 20th May. So.
Oh, Arsenal had ordered for the trophy parade.
Yeah.
How arrogant. They don't respect Man City.
In conjunction with the police. So on 20th May. So 19th is the Sunday, 20th is the Monday. So they already think they have won the league.
Why did they? I don't know whether they.
I don't understand.
Arteta has been in football for that long.
Oh, yes.
Why did they think that with the title out of your hands, relying on another result, that you can call for parade?
It's really bothering. I really don't understand.
Were they not there? Was Arteta not playing when Alex Ferguson was? Alex Ferguson wins the title with 5 games to spare.
Oh, yes.
Real Madrid recently won the title with 3 or 2 games to spare. Last year, Osimhen and
Napoli won like 5
won
games
it with
to
games to
spare.
spare. And you are going into the last game. You don't have the points in your hand.
In your hands, yeah.
You are waiting for Tottenham to beat, and then you are calling for parade.
It was very absurd for me to think that Tottenham would sit down and win the match against. It was never going to happen.
Well, the first half looked like City were struggling. So
it would look like.
I mean, yeah, and then they lost Kevin De Bruyne.
And also the goalkeeper.
And they lost the goalkeeper as well. But Tottenham gave a good account of themselves.
They gave a good account.
I mean, Son really should have put that away. I still think City would have won the game, but Son should have scored that goal.
It's just fine margins. When he missed that within 2 minutes, then the
penalty came.
It's fine margins. So 7 years, he has won 5 EPL trophies. And he's very
he's been in EPL for 7 years already?
Yeah, 2016. So now
is that long?
Going to 8, yeah. Yeah. So
who did he replace?
So he replaced Manuel Pellegrini.
Pellegrini, yeah. Pellegrini also won the title, didn't he?
Yes, in 2014. That was the Gerrard slip.
That was the Gerrard slip that gave City the
league title. The league title. So this is also Haaland, and the top goal scorer now, 27 goals, and he's just killing the league.
So back to back.
Back to back.
How many goals does Bukayo Saka end up with?
16.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. Cole Palmer has 21, so that's not bad.
Oh, so and Oli Watkins?
20. Yeah, that's not bad.
But they have 1 game to play, so maybe Palmer will get 22.
Hopefully. Oli Watkins has to go to the Euros, and he's leading the assists table, 13 assists.
Oli Watkins,
he has to go.
Oh, 13 assists and 20 goals.
He has to go.
As a striker?
He has to go.
Oh, that's not bad.
He has to go.
To the Euros?
Yeah, he will win.
Well, he's going to now. Harry Kane is going to have competition for the number 9 shirt with Oli Watkins. I've seen England Euro 11 done by Michael Owen. And he benches Harry Kane and puts Oli Watkins.
Yes, as simple as that.
And thinks that Kobe Mainoo and Declan Rice in the middle. And then I think he doesn't have Bukayo Saka. He has Cole Palmer for Bukayo Saka's place. Very, very interesting lineup that he put up. Anyway, why are we thinking that Wolves cannot beat City at the Etihad on Sunday?
Okay, so let's forget about this is what happened. Before we go into the match, let's look at some fine margins.
Did you read what the Real Madrid were saying about you on the Facebook?
They came for me. But it's normal.
Oh, but I had a lot of people thinking that you are doing a good job. But they were very unforgiving. Because you said that it was an offside. Okay, we'll say it again today. We'll always speak the truth. Real Madrid supporters, calm down. And Arsenal to calm down. So this was not an offside?
It was not an offside.
Was Kevin De Bruyne not in an offside position when the ball came to him?
No, please.
How do you know that?
So,
but was it checked?
It was checked.
But they didn't draw any line.
Of course, they didn't draw any line, but they took the goal.
So this is when he kicked the ball. Okay, why is Haaland not offside?
He was in between the defenders. He just sprinted in and just kicked the ball inside. A tap-in. But if you look at the match, if a picture is being screenshotted, you might think he's in an offside position because he was just left ajar.
But even after he scored the goal,
he was looking left and right.
Yeah, the camera went on him and he wasn't sure.
Yes.
So I thought the goal had been disallowed.
He was thinking KDB rather was offside. Everyone was thinking KDB
I thought so too, that De Bruyne may have been offside when he got the ball.
But he wasn't.
But I don't think they checked it. I heard the referee say that the goal will stand because the video assistant referee says it's a goal. So I think they communicated.
So with the England VAR, it was the Tottenham against Liverpool 2-1 this season. Earlier this season when Liverpool lost to Tottenham, there was a check and the referee had a call that they said that ball by Liverpool was a goal. And the referee didn't even take it. He didn't even bother to even check it. So with the England VAR, it's a bit different from, the Champions League, the one in La Liga, the one in EPL.
But with Tottenham having played so well in the first half, I think this was a letdown.
Nobody
picked Haaland.
Yes.
He just ran in.
And then that was a tap-in.
The goalkeeper's position.
And that was a tap-in.
Wow.
Yes, so let's go to, this was fine margins.
This was Son. Yeah.
Fine margins. Any other day he scores a goal, and you see your man here, he was so animated on the touchline.
Too emotional.
Oh yes. And then at fine margins, within 2 minutes, the penalty came, and that was it for them.
But the Son do anything wrong here? He plays the ball well.
Oh yes,
on
he plays
target.
it. Normally
Should he have lifted it?
I think so. That would have been better.
But he was in motion.
Oh yes, he
it's
still
not
did it.
It's not very easy to lift the ball. It might go over the bar.
He did what he had to do.
So sorry
best.
for him.
And this was after Haaland had scored the goal, and you see your man as usual. And then he was just on weeks. So let's go to the developments Man City has made since it was bought. So this was on 11th May 2008. This same week was when Man City was bought by Abu Dhabi, and they suffered their heaviest defeat, 8-1 to Middlesbrough. And 16 years later, they are going to win
their fourth title.
Their fourth title.
Fourth straight title.
Yeah.
Unprecedented in the English Premier League.
Never happened before.
Yeah.
Man United did the three twice.
Twice, yeah, Alex Ferguson.
Yeah, in the 90s and in the early 2000s. So, yeah. And also in 1999, when United was winning the treble, they were playing a championship playoff against Gillingham. And they had to win on penalties to come to the Premier League.
Oh,
so
City.
this was how...
This is where they're coming from.
Yes, the development of City. So people that are hating City, they should understand where these people are coming from.
They've come from very far.
They have come from very far. You understand? So yes, they have just played this match. They won 2-0. So it's left with West Ham. West Ham, another London.
Oh, is West Ham? It's not Wolves.
Yeah, Wolves. Yeah.
Why
West
are we
Ham.
thinking West Ham cannot go to the Etihad and cause an upset? They have Mohamed Kudus.
Oh, they have all the players, but we have seen City on the last day needing to win a match. 2019 against Brighton. Brighton scored the first goal. City came back in the second half and scored 4. Last 2 seasons against Aston Villa. Aston Villa scored 2-0 by 75th minute. By 90th minute, it was 3-2 against Aston Villa. So we know this.
But the thing I'm wondering about Pep, is it that the Premier League has become more competitive or that he's not as good as we say? Because he's not able to win the title with 5 games to spare, which Alex Ferguson was doing.
Yes.
Arsene Wenger did it with the Invincibles. They win with 4 or 5 games to spare.
I think it has become much more competitive.
It's competitive.
Because those days, teams like Newcastle, Newcastle were buying players, but teams like West Ham weren't buying players. You understand? But
so
now,
you can easily deal with it.
It's easily spread
out.
out.
So it's become more competitive.
More competitive.
Because the last 3 seasons, no one has won it with games to spare.
Yes. So,
wow.
Yeah. Let's move to what he says. The suspects. He says before it was money. For that reason, Manchester United should have won all the titles. Chelsea, all the titles. Arsenal, the same. They spent as much money in the last 5 years as us. So people are saying, oh, he has made the league a farmers league. But he's saying like, if we're talking about finances, Man United has it all. Chelsea has it all. And also Arsenal
but he's kind of right. If you look at the players that Eric Ten Hag has been buying, Anthony for 75
Even
million.
Chelsea, 1 billion players.
Yeah,
I mean, look at what they are doing. And also Arteta, he says his 27 wins in the Premier League is the most in the history of the football club in 130 years. So this is Arsenal's most wins in a Premier League season, but they might not win the league. 27.
Oh,
the Invincibles
better
won
than the
26.
Invincibles?
Yes, they won 26 and they drew 12. That was the Invisible record.
Yeah, but he lost games. 2 games? How many?
Yeah, he has lost 3 games.
3 games.
Yeah. So let's move to De Bruyne. He gave an assist today, and in just 17 Premier League matches, he has given 10 assists. So he's just behind Oli Watkins with 13. So your man,
Oli Watkins deserves something.
He deserves something. So at least
he really deserves something.
He has to win something. And let's go to your man, Don Carlo. So on Sunday, the boys went out to chill because they had won the league. And then this was 2 years ago. He was chilling with the cigar. The same thing, he recreated it also on Sunday with the boys. You can see.
But are you sure that Arsenal have booked a parade?
Oh yes, they did.
In London,
London. North London, yes.
Is it because they needed to do that because they can't do it when it's close to the time?
Yes. So
but I mean, City may have also done the same.
No.
How do you know that? Because if it's getting the police ready, you have to give them enough notice.
So it came from the London police handle itself on Twitter, but the Greater Manchester Police handle on Twitter has not posted anything.
So the London police posted what?
Arsenal. I posted it. I bought it on Thursday that Arsenal have booked, for routes to be blocked. Yes, for some specific routes to be blocked.
Is it disrespect for Man City or what is it?
I really don't understand for Arsenal. I really don't understand. I know it's mind-boggling, but that is it. And let's go to our boy.
My man,
Jude Bellingham. He has won everything.
The Ballon d'Or.
Yes, this is the Copa del Rey. Not the Copa del Rey, the Super Cup, and then the La Liga, and also the Ballon d'Or. That's for the young player of the year, and also the Copa Trophy, just in 1 year. and he's on a course to win the Ballon d'Or. Is he your player to win the Ballon d'Or?
But you see, I don't know when I sent you that post, something about Dortmund and the Champions League.
Yeah.
If they were to win the Champions League, they get less money than if they were to lose. Because in Jude Bellingham's contract, they said that if he wins the Champions League first season, they are paying him 25 million.
But if they win, it's 20 million.
If they win, it's 20 million. So what do they do now? Do they go for the glory or they go for the money?
Maybe they have to sell the match. And Don Carlo, he has won a league title in every generation. 2004 with AC Milan, Chelsea, PSG, in all the top 5 leagues. He's the only.
Oh, this is Germany?
This is Germany.
He coached Bayern before. I can't remember that.
Yes, that was 2017.
Who were the players in Bayern at the time?
Oh, it was Xabi Alonso, all those players, Vidal, all those players.
I see.
So he has won in every country, all the top 5 leagues in every generation also.
Oh, wow.
And then, yes, he has left PSG. Sunday, he said goodbye to PSG. He's moving to Madrid.
It's Madrid for sure?
Yes, Madrid for sure.
So Vinicius Jr. is on his way to the Old Trafford?
Hopefully, let's pray so. So yeah, this is Madrid for you. Before today's match, they presented all their 36 La Liga trophies. That's heritage, football heritage for you. That's Madrid for you. And also, Xabi Alonso, he just left with only one match, one league match to reach invisibility.
Wow. 50 games unbeaten? How many?
Yes, 50 games unbeaten. But in the league, he has won 27, drawn just 6. It's just left with one match to equal Arsenal's
Arsene Wenger's record.
Yes, but Arsenal won 26 and drew 12. So they will even bypass them. You understand? So this man is doing quite an amazing job, and I'm so proud of him. And also Varane, he's leaving Manchester United. Very sad. But yeah,
I'll come to that.
We'll come to that.
I'll come to that. So let's. So as I told you, my people promised me that I'll be at the Old Trafford on the 12th of May. So I was. Let's show the first video. This media center video. So at halftime, I went to the media center to have a chat with them. I'm sure it's a video, so it's going to come up here, and then we can talk about it. I went to visit them. Yeah, that's my own camera filming. So Tarek told me that when I'm filming, I should do the landscape so that it's better on TV. Yeah. So that's what I did. So this is a media center at the Old Trafford, and this is halftime. And I went to ask the journalists, because at the stadium, it wasn't clear how the Arsenal goal had been treated by VAR, because stadium, they don't show us the VAR. So I was asking them that, was it checked? And they said, I should forget about it. Casemiro had played the guy on offside by 5 yards. Yeah. And I said, oh, wow, I was so disappointed. But this was the Arsenal team that wants to win the title, came to an emasculated and depleted Man United side. Yeah. And United were out-possessing them. And I wasn't sure what was happening. So this is the media center where they sit to run the commentary and all of that. Their benches, their chairs, they look very excited, all of them, and they are very happy to talk to anyone. So this was at the Old Trafford on Sunday. And then just as the game ended, the last time I was at the Old Trafford was Man United, Man City, the one that Marcus Rashford scored the winning goal last season. And on that occasion, soon after the game ended, it rained. So as soon as this game ended, and we're all waiting sort of to leave, then the rains came. So I didn't even know that the rains were going to turn out into something significant as you're showing us. But this is my own camera from the rain. This is what I captured. It was massive, and people were not leaving the stadium. At this stage, I didn't know that there was a leakage. It was just the rain I was filming. And there you see the Arsenal fans. They were still chanting. They were chanting, and they were excited. They thought they had one hand on the trophy, because they had done the double over Man United, beating United home and away. United players completely dejected, walking off the field. If Garnacho had even 15% of Wayne Rooney's clinical ability, Arsenal would have been beaten in this game. Yeah. And I'm not sure why Garnacho, who has been doing so well in the season, was just fluffing everything that comes to him in the penalty area. He played with so much confidence. Yeah. United played with a lot of confidence in the middle, but then when they get up front, they are not able to do it. I'm not sure what happened. So that's what happened. And before I come to your video, so that was Sunday night. And after the game, everybody in Manchester was unhappy. So I stayed in Manchester for a little bit into the night to listen to what Grapevine is saying. It looks like Erik ten Hag is out. From everybody in Manchester, what they were talking about as we left the stadium, went into the pubs. Everybody was very angry with Erik ten Hag. Some people were arguing for him that give him time, but it looks like he's run out of luck with the Manchester people.
Out of steam. The players,
they don't want him. They don't want to see him. They don't want the Glazers. They don't want any. They have a bit of hope in the new administrative manager, the Ineos guy. They think that he's a thinker.
Jimmy Ratcliffe.
They think he doesn't have a lot of money, but he can put a structure together that can be profitable.
So the reason why they have hope is he took Nice. He bought the team, OGC Nice, in France. And the team was in a relegation zone, and now they qualify for the Europa League.
Oh, I see.
They placed 5th So
Also, he has a team over there.
yeah, in France.
And he's been doing something with them.
Oh yes. With little
I know very
finances.
little about him, but some
yeah.
people thought that if he's there, he's going to get a good football director.
Yes.
He's going to get a good
He has got the same thing for Nice.
The people in the Manchester felt that United's problem is the administration.
Yes.
That something is not working.
We had no
well.
technical director. We are the only big team with no technical director.
Yeah, they don't have a football manager. They don't have, and they were comparing to City. And I was learning about administrative positions in City, different kinds of administrative organogram, which works for City, and they seem to think that if they can get that, they have spirit, they have history. And so that was Sunday night. So I tried to come back to get ready for this program. Then, political story. I got into the airport this morning, getting ready. Oh, not yet. I wanted to surprise. Take it off. So I got into the airport this morning, and I was coming. And when I got into the airport place, I heard some people speaking Twi. So I said, oh my goodness, let me dodge them. So I went to sit in a distance so I could see who they were before I went to say hello to them. And then I got a phone call, and I was talking on the phone, and somebody hit me at the back. Hey, Paulus. I turned, I said, oh wow, okay, now you can show the photograph. So this photograph was taken this morning. Yes. That is myself and President John Dramani Mahama. So those of you who are asking where is President Mahama, he's just arrived in town. We came 2 hours ago. We came about 7 o'clock this evening, and we had a long chat. So he said, Paulus. I said, yes, sir. I said, the people are saying that you're not in town. He said, well, I'm going back to town. He was with some people. We had a nice chat. This is his chair, the chair next to him where he was sitting. Nice. And somebody took a photograph of us. And when they were taking it, one of them said that, Mr. President, people will kill you taking photograph with this guy. And then we all laughed. We had a nice, interesting chat. We walked over to the aircraft. So good evening to all my NDC friends. Your presidential candidate, President John Dramani Mahama, is fully back in town, and he has arrived in Accra. I'm sure that he will go on to the campaign. Okay, let's get back to the rain story you were going to tell us. And then we can deal with it. Where's the rain story? The rain story is going to come. The photograph we had here before is going to just finalize on that one, and then we can move on to another story.
Beside that, today,
yeah, there it is. So what happened is the Old Trafford roof had cracked.
The roof, and also I'm hearing the toilets. I saw videos. The toilets is also leaking. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, I used the toilet where I was sitting. It wasn't leaking.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know if it's from older videos, because people were taking videos and then they were posting.
No, I don't. I wouldn't know. Wow.
It's really, really, really sad.
But Ineos has been saying it, that he needs to. And the Abu Dhabi guy who wanted to buy Old Trafford,
to literally
said
revamp
he needed to revamp the whole place and make it work. Okay.
We have to do like Madrid's new stadium, very, very state of the art. And then this is 12 years since Aguero's moment.
Oh, that famous one, that very famous one.
Today is just 12 years.
You know, DSTV had used that for an advert.
Oh, yeah.
Because the commentator on the occasion said that you will never see this again.
Yeah.
And DSTV had used that to advertise the catch-up and said, forget about the commentator. You can see it again and again and again. Is that Manchester United
women?
Ladies?
Yes. Yeah, they won their first trophy on Sunday against
the league.
Yeah. No, the FA Cup.
Oh, so the women have won the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And the men are playing the FA Cup final on 25th. I don't see how they're going to beat City, but
very shocking.
But we'll see.
But yeah,
FA Cup brings surprises.
Have come so far. The team was just built in 2018. So just 6 years they have won a trophy. You understand?
Wow.
And this is Madrid. And let's see your man.
Rudiger.
This is 1 month till the Euros. Which team are you tipping to win? Which team?
Oh, the Euros. I'm supporting England, so I don't know who. Is France in there?
Yeah, France is also in there. So France.
Paul Pogba doesn't play for France anymore, does he?
So Poland, no. Poland, Netherlands, Austria, France.
Where's England?
England is also in Group C. England, Serbia, Denmark, Slovenia.
So that means England will play in Group D when they move on.
So the
Netherlands and France, that's complicated.
Yes, very complicated.
So England should be topping this group.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, is France still good?
Oh, they are good.
Mbappe plays for them?
Very good.
Paul Pogba doesn't play for them?
No, he has been banned for 2 years.
Who does Vinicius? You know, it's Brazil.
Brazil,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So
England will have to overcome the challenge of Group D before they can get into quarterfinal. Ronaldo is still playing for Portugal.
Yeah, still playing.
He'll be in there. And Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, all of them.
No, they cannot be taken for granted.
Silva.
Is Haaland playing?
No. They didn't qualify.
That's Denmark, is it?
No, Norway.
That's Norway.
Yeah. Together with
that's Odegaard.
Yeah.
Odegaard too didn't come.
And also, so the first game will be on 14th against Scotland, Germany versus Scotland.
14th of June.
Yeah.
Oh, that's close.
Yeah. Just a month.
Germany and Scotland.
Yeah.
Germany should beat them.
Yeah.
And England's first game is when? Sometime?
Yeah. That's the second day. So they will be playing against Denmark. Very
England-Denmark. That's a game they should win.
Very tricky match.
Wow.
Okay, so
enough of sports. Let's get into the full action. Thank you very much, Andy. Please, Real Madrid supporters and Arsenal supporters, don't write bad things about Andy. He's a very nice guy. All right, tonight we have a lot to talk about. Samia Oku is in the studio and he's going to talk about a few things. But now, though, we go and deal with a very serious legal matter. It's 20 minutes to the top of the hour, 10 o'clock. We know that there's been some social media constellations. Now, the story is that maybe you can change this so that when we are doing the social media, it doesn't confuse people. I'm waiting for them to change the background. I'm sure they will soon. Yes, Serene. Okay, Article 1573 of the Republican Constitution 1992. You know, when I come to these parts of the program, I get into my elements because I just love development, politics, law, and all of that. I love it. So I'm going to right into my elements now. Now, there's a trial going on, a trial that has generated significant interest. It's a trial of Dr. Opuni. Dr. Opuni used to be the boss of the Food and Drugs Board during the Professor Mills era. And then from 2012, President John Dramani Mahama appointed him as the chief executive of Cocoa Board. Since the coming into force of the Akufo-Addo regime in 2017, Dr. Opuni has been answering questions in court about some transactions on fertilizer, etc., etc. Of course, we know that in our legal jurisprudence, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. So at this stage, when we talk about the matter, Dr. Opuni is completely innocent until the court and the prosecution are able to establish the case beyond reasonable doubt and convince the High Court judge that Opuni is guilty. Until then, he is not guilty. Until then, he has not done anything wrong. But now he's answering questions. We have to understand that clearly from the outset. Now, the trial has been going on for long, and Dr. Opuni has been quite confrontational. His lawyers have been quite confrontational, and they are entitled to do so as part of a criminal prosecution. When I say they've been confrontational in inverted commas, it means they have looked at every application, and they've gone through with a comb and gone to the Supreme Court and back and the High Court and back and etc., etc. The judge, His Lordship Justice Hone Nuga, who was sitting as an additional High Court judge. Now, what that means is that a justice of the courts, Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court, who is appointed by the Lord Chief Justice who sits on a High Court matter, is described as sitting as an additional High Court judge. It is so because where High Court judges have a specific number. So assuming that the High Court judges are 31, when a Supreme Court judge or a Court of Appeal judge is sitting as an additional High Court judge, then there will be 32. But he is still a Supreme Court judge. So that's when you hear that sitting as an additional High Court judge, that's what it means. Okay, so Hone Nuga was sitting as an additional High Court judge. In time, he turned 70 and hit the retirement age, and then he left. In those circumstances, when a judge who is hearing a matter is either incapacitated, and this is a matter of constitutional provision, when the judge is either incapacitated or that he retires or that he unfortunately passes into eternal glory, what happens is that the Chief Justice will ask another judge to look at the matter. So when Hone Nuga retired, the matter was given to another judge. When the judge arrived in the court, Dr. Opuni's lawyer suggested to him that, my lord, because this is a criminal trial and because you have not seen the witnesses, we will implore you to start the trial again so that we can call the witnesses that have been called to come back, and then you can hear them again. The Attorney General's position took a different view. Their view of the matter was that this trial has been going on already for really too long. And now all the documents are ready. Everything that a witness will say has been said. And so the documents is before the judge. Being an experienced judge, he ought to be able to interpret the documents and make a decision so that we move forward. Now, the judge agreed with the Attorney General people and said that, of course, I think that I can follow everything that I have inherited, and so we can go on. Dr. Opuni's lawyers were not satisfied with that ruling, and so they appealed to the Court of Appeal for a review of the matter. The Court of Appeal sat over the matter and agreed with the High Court judge that they think that the matter should proceed without going back. The term that the lawyers use in Latin is to say that you trial the matter de novo. De novo means start all over again. And so that's what you've been hearing, the trial to start de novo. And the lawyers say that so that you don't understand it. Don't worry, I'll explain to you. Don't worry about that. I'll explain everything to you. And you can Google it these days. Just Google it and you find it. So for the trial to start de novo, it means that it should start all over again. Now, so that application for the trial to start de novo failed at the High Court. It failed at the Court of Appeal. Of course, Opuni's lawyers were entitled to, so they appealed to the Supreme Court. Now, at the Supreme Court, the application was made to the Supreme Court. And then Arguments have not been heard. No activity really has occurred. Parties were told that they should submit their written application. And then at that point, we have been told that the Lord Chief Justice intends, in the exercise of her discretion, guaranteed by the 1992 Constitution, she intends to change the panel of judges. That then became a big hullabaloo, and members of Opuni's courts and supporters of Opuni, especially members of the National Democratic Congress, are concerned that the Chief Justice, in exercise of her discretion, guaranteed by the 1992 Constitution, is somehow or rather doing something untoward. That drew out the Attorney General's pen, and he has issued a statement. Before I go to the Attorney General's statement, let's look at the provisions of Article 1573 of the 1992 Constitution. It says as follows: no person sitting in a superior court shall, having heard the arguments of the parties to that cause or matter, and before judgment is delivered, withdraw as a member of the court until judgment is fully delivered. Let's get it again. Article 1573. No person, that is a judge, sitting in a superior court. Superior court means High Court, Court of Appeal, and Supreme Court. Sitting in a superior court shall, having heard the arguments of the parties to that cause or matter. Let's just say, having heard the arguments of the parties to that matter, and before the judgment is delivered, withdraw as a member of the court. So that if you are a judge and you have heard the arguments, you cannot, unless you have died, unless you are incapacitated, but you cannot withdraw as a member of the court until the judgment is delivered. So this is Article 1573. So as soon as this announcement came that the Lord Chief Justice intended to amend the panel, members of Opuni's legal team and members of the NDC and social media commentators were believed at the outset that her Lordship, the Chief Justice, has breached or violated Article 1573 of the Constitution. Lawyers were asking each other, have the arguments been heard? Have the arguments not been heard? Typically, those who wrote on Facebook usually do not go through the details to explain to those of us who do not practice law what the matters are. They just come and say that Chief Justice has changed panel, and they suggest somehow or other that something untoward is being happened. That situation is quite dangerous, and the Attorney General referred to it. So with our understanding of Article 1573 now, let's go and look at the statement that was issued by the Attorney General in respect of this matter. And it is as follows. The Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice, a press release, is entitled The Republic versus Dr. Stephen Opuni and Others, Misrepresentation of Supreme Court Proceedings on 8th of May 2024. Let's move on. The attention of the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice has been drawn to the deliberate misrepresentation in the media, traditional and social, about the composition of a panel to hear an appeal in the Supreme Court in a case entitled The Republic versus Dr. Stephen Opuni and Others. Publications in various newspapers, particularly the Herald, and commentary on social media by some persons, including Kweku Asare, are laden with falsehood and contain imputations that the composition of the panel for the hearing of the appeal on 8th May 2024 was unusual, questionable, or in violation of the Constitution. The Attorney General and Minister for Justice, a party to the case in question and owing a constitutional duty to protect the administration of justice from abuse, hereby sets the record straight. And it's as follows. 1. Arguments in the appeal filed at the Supreme Court by Dr. Stephen Opuni against an order of the Court of Appeal dated 3rd July 2023 for adoption of evidence led in the case mentioned above were heard by the Supreme Court on 8th May 2024 and not on any date before. The Attorney General is speaking to the article that we saw, and he's saying that the arguments were heard on 8th May. It was never heard before. No arguments were made before. Number 2, he says the appeal was originally listed for hearing at the Supreme Court on 17th January 2024. By that day, no written submissions had been filed in the matter. A bare notice of appeal was the only process that had been filed in the proceedings. The Supreme Court also did not invite any of the parties to make oral submissions, either in the support of or in opposition to any of the grounds of appeal filed by the appellant. It is thus undisputable that no arguments were heard by the Supreme Court on the 17th of January 2024. Now, in this paragraph, I believe that Attorney General is showing that Article 157 has not been violated. So he's giving the date and the timelines and showing when arguments were heard and when arguments were not heard. Remember that after arguments had been heard, a judge cannot withdraw from the matter. And now the Chief Justice has exercised her discretion to change the panel. Here we are, the Attorney General explaining that at the time the Chief Justice exercised that discretion, she was not in violation of Article 157 because it's a matter of date. Whether arguments were heard on this date or whether arguments were not heard on this date, lawyers for both parties have the same calendar. The dates that the Attorney General is speaking to is the same date that the opponent lawyers will speak to. No one can be dishonest about dates because it's mathematical. 7 January, 7 January. If something was filed on 7 January, it was filed on 7 January. The record will show clearly. So everything the Attorney General has written in statement about dates, I believe that opponent lawyers can write the same thing because dates cannot be manufactured. All right. Number 3 is the court rather gave directions for the future hearing of the matter by ordering the appellant, Dr. Opuni, to file his written submissions within 21 days and the respondents, the Republic, to file her written submissions within 21 days of being served with the appellant's document. The parties, this paragraph 4, the parties duly complied with the directions of the court and the appeal was subsequently listed for hearing on the 8th of May, 2024. On that date, the panel for hearing of the appeal was reconstituted by the Honorable Chief Justice in exercise of her powers under the 1992 Constitution. So on the date that the parties came, the Chief Justice reconstituted the panel. So she reconstituted the panel before any submissions could be heard or before any submissions could be read by the panel that was existing before. I think that is clear, isn't it? All right, let's move on. Paragraph 5. Counsel for the appellant, Dr. Opuni, citing Article 1573 of the Constitution, raised a grotesque and wild objection to the reconstitution of the panel and, in fact, insisted on the previous panel hearing his appeal. The Attorney General prayed the court to dismiss the objection as misconceived by alluding to the matter set out above and noted that the operative words in Article 1573 of the Constitution are, quote, "No person sitting in the superior court shall have heard the arguments of the parties to the cause of matter and before judgment is delivered, withdraw. No person shall have heard and before judgment is delivered, withdraw." So the person, the judge must have heard the arguments and then he says he's withdrawing before the judgment is given. That the Constitution prohibits. A judge cannot do that. You cannot hear the argument. You hear the arguments as a judge and then say that I've withdrawn. If a judge has heard the argument, the Chief Justice is precluded from changing the judge at that time unless for some clearly stated offense or something like that. But otherwise, the Lord Chief Justice cannot exercise her discretion when a judge has heard the matter. In the instant case, the Attorney General is pointing out that the panel members had not heard the matter and therefore Article 1573 had not yet kicked in. Anyway, let's move on. He says further, there had been neither oral nor written arguments in the matter heard on 17th January 2024, and therefore Article 1573 was not triggered. The court, after considering the submissions by both counsel, overruled the objection. The Attorney General notes the persistent attempts by some media houses aligned to Dr. Opuni to distort the effect of court proceedings relating to the prosecution of the former Chief Executive of the Ghana Cocoa Board. These publications, many a time, Attorney General says, are a gross misrepresentation of the evidence led at the trial, intended to ridicule the case of the prosecution and create false impressions about the soundness of the defense put up by Dr. Opuni at his trial. The Attorney General observes that most of the publications on the Opuni case orchestrated by the accused persons themselves transgresses the limits of permissible speech and they are calculated at perverting the course of justice and or prejudicing the fair hearing of that case. Nonetheless, the Republic being the Attorney General's department, remains focused on adducing cogent evidence in substantiation of the charges against all the accused persons in the case mentioned above and will not be overawed in that process. For the purpose of educating the public, the Attorney General states that no party to the proceedings in the court has a right to insist on a particular court or panel of courts to hear his or her case in accordance with the Constitution and the Courts Act 1993 Act 459. The Chief Justice determines the compositions of every court for the hearing of any matter. The Chief Justice is a member of every court in the country and has the power to request in writing a justice of any of the superior courts of judicature to sit on either the Court of Appeal or the High Court at any time. Further, consistent with Article 128, the Constitution, the Chief Justice presides at the sitting of the Supreme Court. Now, this is an important matter that I think I have to emphasize on. The 1992 Constitution allows the Lord Chief Justice to be a member of any court at all. So the Chief Justice can on Tuesday go to the Circuit Court by a letter and say that the matter of Paul Adomotri and Captain Smart, I want to be the judge. She's entitled to do so. Justice Akufo-Addo did it many, many times. Some of the famous decisions, especially what the lawyers call Mosi and Bajina, ruled by Justice Akufo-Addo, he did it as a High Court judge. As a Chief Justice, it was a High Court decision. And he was sitting as the High Court judge. These things are in the Constitution. Every lawyer knows it. But sometimes when the lawyers come on social media or even on regular media, they do not speak these things because they know the journalists don't know it. And then they try to sugarcoat their case away from the law. This is worrying. It is very, very worrying. And we urge media houses, I think media houses are already doing it, have lawyers inside the newsroom. Media houses should have lawyers in the newsroom. Proper lawyers who can interpret constitutional law. That's public law. The most important law that is important to media newsroom is public law. It's not so much contract law or property law. It's public law. That is the constitutional law, interpretation of the Constitution, parliamentary standing orders, the rules of parliament. All of these things, every newsroom that broadcasts politics must be seized with it. They've started. I've seen newsrooms. I mean, when I was doing journalism, no lawyer was in the newsroom. Now I've seen people go to law school and be in the newsroom. They must up their game so that some of these lawyers who are intended to hoodwink the society and the public, just so that their political angle may look right, they will be exposed and they'll be found out. Because some of these things are clear in the law. So when you're interviewing the people, you tell them that is it not so in the 1992 Constitution where the Lord Chief Justice is able to change the panel? Is it not so, Mr. Interviewee? Is that not so? But because the lawyers know that the journalists are not seized with the facts, they go on radio and then they say their matter quite dishonestly, knowing that what they've said is falling short of the law, but they also know that the journalist doesn't understand it. So he's not able to ask the question that he should ask that will expose the person who intends to hoodwink the society. These things must stop, because when opponents lawyers come to a radio station and say that the Attorney General is changing the panel, you have to ask them, what has been violated? They will tell you Article 157. Then you ask them, were submissions made? Was it heard? Because 157 says so. But if you don't ask them that question, and then they're on the radio, they are saying that Chief Justice has changed the panel. She has changed the panel. There has to be a reason why the Chief Justice has changed the panel. But the Chief Justice ought not to disclose those reasons to us, because she's working in a very sensitive position, and she's working in the interest of protecting the justice system. So it's not everything that she knows that she will come and say. It's not everything that the Lord Chief Justice knows that she will come and say. It's not everything that she will issue a statement and say that I am changing the panel because Justice this went to eat cocoa here, Justice this one went to do this here, they ate jollof together at Golden Tulip. She cannot rise those things out for the general public because she has done many things, including swearing an oath of secrecy. When she was being sworn in as the Lord Chief Justice, she is the fountain of justice. She is the embodiment of justice. She cannot destroy the institution. Even if there's some information that is true, that information cannot come out. So when she says, I've changed the panel, and people are hurriedly thinking that she's changed the panel because of something untoward, it is very unfortunate. It is for that reason. It is for the reason of protecting the institution of justice that the 1992 Constitution, in the wisdom of the framers of the Constitution, gave the Chief Justice that discretion that she ought not to disclose to the general public why she takes certain decisions. Because the institution of justice must be protected. Some people's institution of justice has been protected for 200 years. The American Supreme Court, the British House of Lords, they used to have their Supreme Court in the House of Lords. The Justice Committee of the House of Lords used to be the British Supreme Court. Now they have a regular Supreme Court. These institutions have been protected for 700 years. Why? You think nothing has happened there? You think some things have not happened there? Things have happened there. But they have understood that it's not about individual. It is about protecting the system. So Justice Tokonu, the Lord Chief Justice, ought not to come and say that, oh, I have found this information against these two judges, against this one judge. So I'm asking the judge to move and I'm placing this other person there. No, she cannot say. Is it for the reason that she cannot say that she shouldn't talk because she's protecting the institution that people are allowed to call her names on social media? Is that fair? Is that fair? Those of you who read social media, you see these things. Is it fair for us to build a society like that? That because the Chief Justice cannot speak for herself, because she shouldn't do that. She should protect the institution. So she makes her decisions without explaining them. But she has some things to say. I have been told this evening of some dangerous matters. Dangerous. That if she were to speak, it would be dangerous. Dangerous things. Dangerous. But she says, I cannot say these things. And then people are bashing her. And she's done this. Then people are sitting in America. They are writing on social media and making themselves the paragons of law, when they have never made an argument before the Supreme Court or had any distinguished practice. I mean, if Martin Amidu speaks about procedure, we will listen. If Idi Kom speaks about procedure, we listen. Kofi Kumado speaks about procedure, we listen. Nana Akufo-Addo speaks about procedure, we listen. Professor Kwame Bentienchil, these people, the connoisseurs. But some people sit and, well, it's okay, we are all allowed to speak. But when you are speaking, don't speak as if you are on top of some mountain and you know everything when you really don't know nothing. When you don't know anything. You know absolutely nothing. And then you are talking and you want to denigrate the institution of Chief Justice. Bawumia may win the election. John Mahama may win the election. Whatever it is. Rawlings won an election. Kufuor won an election. Professor Mills won an election. The judiciary has been there. And they have been a major bulwark of our constitutional development. And that's what Ghana has, that many other African countries don't have. And people would like to sit in America and sit on social media for political expediency and then just denigrate the name of the Lord Chief Justice because she has changed the panel. Do you know why she has changed the panel? Does the Constitution say she should tell us why she has changed the panel? Next question. I go to court. I'm a lawyer or I'm a citizen. I'm under prosecution. I go to court. Why am I interested in some 3 judges or 2 judges being on the panel? Why am I insisting that some 2 or 3 judges must be on the panel? Why? Why am I insisting? Why do people want to insist that this judge must be on the panel? Let's go to the judges. If you have done the list of judges, let's see the first set of judges who were there. Is that the first set of judges who were there? Yes, the first set of judges who were there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that the first set? They should confirm if that's the first set because, yes, I see Justice Kumsin there, so I'm guessing that's the first set. That's the first set. Okay. All right. So this is the first set of judges. This is, of course, my Lord Justice Kulendi, and I believe this is Justice Kumsin, and this is Justice Kofi. And this is the first panel, and the Chief Justice has amended the panel and has changed 3 of them. The lawyers for Puni are insisting that those 3 that were changed should come back on the panel. Where did we go? What happened? Is that how we want to run our institutions? That they insist they want this panel. Me too, I go to court tomorrow. I brought an application against the Electoral Commission. The panel is there. The panel is here. I said, no, I want this panel. Is that what the Constitution said we should do? We should decide for the Chief Justice which panels you should put there. Haven't we read the Constitution? Have journalists not read the Constitution to see the role of the Chief Justice? Now, here's a new panel. I see Professor Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu. I see Justice Tokono there. I believe this is Justice Rosso Wusu, I think. And these are some of the 2 new judges. But certainly this is Professor Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The new panel that is going to hear the Oponi appeal. The Oponi appeal has failed in the High Court before the existing judge. It has also failed in the Court of Appeal. It doesn't mean it will fail in the Supreme Court. No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that its chances of succeeding, a lot more work has to be done. But it doesn't mean it will fail. The Supreme Court can come back and then make a justification. That's what the Attorney General says, that he doesn't think that people must have a right to insist on a particular court or panel to hear their case. We can't build that situation. So for the viewers who have been hearing this matter and do not know what is happening and you thought something sacrilegious had happened at the judiciary, this is the story. This is the story. And the Attorney General points out in his article that the Chief Justice has not violated anything. But let's just be circumspect and be a bit careful. It's 10 o'clock, so I need to leave, and then Samuel Oku is coming in with a big story. But now I have a story to share. It's not even about Nkrumah. I was just reading on the flight coming back to Ghana today, as I usually do. I was reading a book by it's a Christian gentleman who wrote something about Ghana, and I was doing some research in preparation for something else that I'm doing. And I found this letter that was written by Dr. Dankwa. Completely interesting letter, and I like to read it. It's a letter from J.B. Dankwa to Harry Nimbus, columnist of the Ghanaian Times newspaper at the time. It's a letter that's written in 1963. And if I read it, viewers, you'll see the Ghana then and the Ghana today. This is J.B. Dankwa writing to the columnist of the Ghanaian Times, 1963. He says, Mr. Harry Nimbus, the Ghanaian Times, Accra, dear columnist, and he writes, of all the nations in the world, and I'm suspecting that the Ghanaian Times, this is 1963, so the Ghanaian Times, which is the mouthpiece of the government at the time in the 60s, it wasn't the Graphic, it was the Times. The Times was the bigger mouthpiece of, Dr. Nkrumah was using the Times. He had come from London, and in London, the London Times had been leading, so he set up the Ghanaian Times to be like the London Times, and it was the paper for the important people, the members of parliament and all of that. I think the Times in London still holds that role today. So the Times may have been propagating a socialist agenda for the country. Indeed, Nkrumah had launched a socialist agenda, which he called Work and Happiness. I don't know whether you remember E.T. Mensah's song, Work and Happiness. Yes, Nkrumah launched it with song and all of that. Nkrumah knew how to do the PR. So that was the mood of the nation at the time. And then comes Dr. Dankwa with this letter. He says, of all the nations in the world, at least after the last World War, the most astonishing countries whose people have been able by sheer industry and determination to build a first-rate power industrially is not Soviet Russia nor communist China, the two great socialist countries of the world, but is Japan, a country in which free enterprise and not state control is supreme. Quote, to imagine that in less than 2 decades, these people, from the total ruins of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and Tokyo, have been able to build a first-rate power industrially is bewildering. Yes, sir, bewildering, but also stimulating. In the shops of San Francisco, and in fact, many similar shops in other cities of the United States and in many parts of Southern American continent and even Europe, Japanese goods are in abundance and in great demand for their usefulness and their quality. In the shops of Singapore, Japanese manufacturers swarm like flies on the shelves. When in fact, you add the terrific invasion made by Japanese cameras of all sizes and types in the photographic shops of the world, you come to realize the tremendous impact that the Japanese goods have been having on world trade. The supply of useful goods to a world hungry for them, stimulating, challenging, bewildering, and so what? Quote, and so we in Ghana should ask how that came about and think again and not waste our energy and time on empty slogans. Take Russia, the greatest socialist country in the world. Its size in square miles is 8,000 blah blah blah, 8 million blah blah blah. That is to say, some 47 times the size of Japan, which is 182,700 square miles. How come this comparatively tiny country, Japan, to beat its great neighbor in the competition for world trade, the supplier of usual goods to a world hungry for them? The result, Mr. Nimbus, Dankwa says, as you say, has been bewildering. Today, it is universally acknowledged that the greatest industrial explosion, the marvel of the century, has taken place in 3 countries, Western Germany, Italy, and Japan. And all 3 have achieved that great marvel by free enterprise, not socialism, not state control. The Mercedes-Benz and the Datsuns on Ghana's many roads and highways are closest testimony of what free enterprise has done for Western Germany and Japan. That is to say, America, the king-sized nation in the world of free enterprise, is being given a hard race in the game of industrial production. Is there a socialist country in the world, Cuba, Albania, even Russia or China, that has reached the industrial marvel achieved by Japan with free enterprise? This was the argument in 1963 in Ghana when Dr. Nkrumah had launched a socialist path. And Dr. Dankwa was vehemently against that and was working for free enterprise. It's very, very important that we look at these things in history. Solomon said in Ecclesiastes that there's nothing new under the sun. What has been is what will be. What has happened is what will happen again. For there's nothing new under the sun. So these were the arguments that we're making. Are we going to continue to make these arguments in 2024 about which political direction is better for our country? This socialism thing, it's not going anywhere, is it? We were all in the world when there was strong China, there was strong Russia, and we saw that the Chinese and the Russians and the East Germans capitulated in 1990 and the Berlin Wall fell. So there's nothing in it. There's nothing in it for us. For me, personally, I've always said that I'm a right-wing reporter. What is distinct about right-wing is that in the right-wing philosophy, we believe in something fundamental, that everything you do, the God of Abraham, and I mean that, every right-winger believes that, every Republican believes that, every conservative in London believes that the God of Abraham will multiply the work of your hands. That's a fundamental belief at the core of capitalism. That's it. At the core of capitalism, it is believed that the God of Abraham will multiply the work of your hands. Because he says, bring your barns and I'll fill it with plenty. Didn't he say that? That's what he said. So capitalism is predicated on the existence of a God who is able to multiply the work of your hands. Socialism is predicated on the non-existence of a God, and that when somebody tells you that there's a God, he is actually trying to cheat you, and that the religion is the opium of the masses. Those were the words of Karl Marx and Engels. Marx and Engels gave us those words, that the religion is the opium of the masses. They wrote a book. Akoto Ampao gave me that book. May he rest in peace. And I read it. Marx and Engels. They wrote a book like that. So capitalism, the reason why I am sold up to it, because it recognizes the central theme of a God who controls the universe and who is able to multiply the work of your hands. That's capitalism. And it is free enterprise. And it unleashes the spirit of man. It unleashes the powers of the continuation of the creation that God did. God did the creation and left man to continue. It's only capitalism that's able to unleash those strengths in men and women, so that they'll be able to create the Mercedes-Benz car. They'll be able to create the aircraft. They'll be able to build this and build that. And that is why in the socialism place, where talents are not allowed to be exploited, in 1990, the Berlin Wall collapsed. May Dr. Dankwa rest in peace. But may his thoughts about Ghana continue to sow seeds in many young people, that we can understand where we needed to go as far back as 1963. It may be late, but it's not over. Where we can go from today by thinking that every Ghanaian individual is able to unleash his spirit, is able to unleash his talents, and together we can build a great Ghana and a great Africa from free enterprise, not from curfews, sleep at 6:30, wake up at 7 o'clock. You can't do this, you can't do that. No, let us unleash the talents of our people in true capitalism. In the Fourth Republic, I have never seen a speech that is so heavy laden with the ethos of capitalism than this one that Akufo-Addo told the parliament in 2017. Have a look.
This Ghana will be defined by integrity, sovereignty, a common ethos, discipline, and shared values. It is one where we aim to be masters of our own destiny, where we mobilize our own resources for the future, breaking the shackles of the Gottesberg colonial economy and a mindset of dependency, bailouts, and extraction. It is an economy where we look past commodities to position ourselves in a global marketplace. It is a country where we focus on trade, not aid, a handout, not a handout. It is a country with a strong private sector. It is a country that recognizes the connectedness of its people and economy to those of its neighbors. This requires a forward-looking vision for our country, enabling us to confront our challenges and embrace our opportunities, not one fastened in the rear-view mirror. It is a Ghana beyond aid. Mr. Speaker, thank you, and may God bless our homeland Ghana and make her great and strong.
rise up with such rapturous applause from all sides of the political divide. This was in 2017, and this is a blueprint for what could happen in Ghana over the next 50 years. If we decide to unleash our talent in true capitalism and build this society, there's nothing that will be beyond us. After the break, the couple, Samia Oku, is in the studio. Now, I've seen videos of NDC people, apparatchiks, teasing Dr. Bawumia about something he said about a joke and all of that. We're going to get into the details of that. But Samia Oku is here as a senior campaign advisor. I will be updating us on what's happening in Dr. Bawumia's campaign. We have a lot of conversation with him tonight. After the break, Samia Oku is next. This is Good Evening Ghana. It's live. Welcome back to the show. It's past 10 o'clock in the night, and let's take the text messages from our first part of the show. Anziba, what are people saying?
We have Ataidu saying, Paul is very competent, and the incompetent journalists must listen to him. The biased lawyers should shamefully keep mute. We have Master Planner saying that Ghana is one of the most peaceful countries in Africa. Let us stop the cheap emotional political expediency. Our democracy is something other African countries are jealous of. Let's protect it. Greetings to Kapu Sami Awuku. We have from Nixon Ishan, Apostle Paul. Kweku Azar has always been bitter ever since the position of the Electoral Commissioner was not given to him, but given to Madam Jane Mensah. Once you listen to his line of argument, you can predict where it will end. Bitterness is a disease and it kills faster than any other disease. We also have from Kwabna Intri saying, religion is indeed the opium of the masses, although I believe with you that capitalism and free enterprise is the sustainable way to true development. Kwabna Intri is also saying, China currently operates with capitalism at the core of their industrialization drive. Lastly, we still have Kwabna saying, the NPP practices what Kufuor called capitalism with empathy. While the NPP believes in the free enterprise and property-owning democracy, it also believes that, whilst at it, we need to elevate those who are down on the socioeconomic ladder with socioeconomically powering policies like FQ, NHIS, and free SHS. Ella, what do you have for us?
Okay. So this one is from General Coleman. He says, the due process of law is not equal to public opinion and emotional sentiment. The media must wake up. Kudos, Paul, for your insightful education. This one is also from Tinja. He says, great show, always educating and exposing the facts. Al-Hadi says, Paul, there's no punishment for lawyers who undermine the authority of courts deliberately just to mislead the public or incite their political party members and ridicule courts. Lastly, this one is also from Atta. He says, Paul is very competent and the incompetent journalist must listen to what he has to say. Nixon says that Ghana is one of the most peaceful countries in Africa. Let us stop cheap emotional political expediency. Our democracy is something other African countries are jealous of. Let's protect it. Greetings to Kapu. This is also from Yao Sam. He says, Paul has unveiled the X-axis in journalism. I was only familiar with the Y and Z axis. Journalism in a different and right direction. I respect the Good Evening Ghana show, and I must meet him one day and ask him one particular question. Lastly, from Kwabna Entry, he says, religion is indeed the opium of the masses, although I believe with you that capitalism and free enterprise is a sustainable way to true development. Patti.
All right, so this is coming from Togbe, and he says, let me copy in Kweku Azar. Sometimes prof is always going over the bar. Trying hard to diminish the reputation of the courts and the justice system is not building institutions. We see them and just simply move on these days. Now, coming from Nee Nelson, he says, good evening, Paul. We wish to kindly bring this to your attention. We just chanced upon a brief documentary on your show this evening in connection with the Venerable Asantehene, and in the preamble of the documentary, the commentator sought to indicate a number of states Asanteman had conquered as per historical antecedent. We realized that the name of Gadangwe was mentioned as one of the states that had been once conquered by Asante. Paul, respectfully, we wish to bring this to your notice for onward editing of the said documentary to the effect that Gahadangbe was never being conquered nor defeated in any battle by Asante before. The Venerable Asante here in the preamble of the documentary, the commentator sought to indicate a number of states. We realized that, and then we want to bring your attention to that. Now, coming from Samuel Kelly says, good evening, Paul. I thank God you support England, but no, I cannot watch an England game, neither have I watched a United game for the past 6 years. You're reminding us of 12 years back about the Angura goal that robbed Man United the Premier League Cup. Sir Paul, you have made me to share a tear this evening, but very much so I'll listen to you after wiping my tear. And lastly, coming from Da Costa, he says, leave the Arsenal matter and let's move to the Kings of the earth. Back to you, Paul.
All right. Good evening, Samiyako.
Good evening, Paul.
Okay, let's start with the matter. So let's see the first tape of what Dr. Bawumia said to the religious leaders. Here it is.
Then the question is church and taxes. Are we going to tax churches? My view on this is simple. In fact, that's why I say that if you share a Juma church, in fact, we should rather be paying them rather than they paying us. Unless you don't understand the work the church has done. If you're looking at the buildings, the way they try to keep the society together, the church, the universities, the hospitals, the schools, it's massive. It's just massive. Many churches have hundreds of schools. Massive. So I don't see, and I will not have a situation where we are taxing the churches. We rather want to give churches incentives to support what government is doing. I want us to be partners in the way that the development partners are with us. You are our domestic development partners, and we will give you incentives to do more.
So this is what Dr. Bawumia said, and it was misconstrued or it was interpreted separately, differently. Then he found himself in Northeast, and then he gave a clarification. This is what he said in the clarification.
I believe, and I said this the other day when I was, I think, in Bono region or so, when I met the clergy. I said that the church is the foremost development partner of government. Is the foremost development partner of government. The church and faith-based organizations. Why do I say so? You look at the number of schools the churches have built. Look at the number of hospitals the churches have built. Look at the number of universities the churches have built and the faith-based organizations have built. Look at the number of people the churches and faith-based organizations take care of on a daily basis. Can you imagine, just take a thought for a moment, that you wake up tomorrow and all the schools, universities, and hospitals the churches have built disappear? They just disappear. How would Ghana be like? Ghana will collapse, isn't it? We will not survive in this sort of situation because there will be chaos. You see, so at that point I was joking, and I said, "Oh, people are talking about taxing churches. I don't believe, and we will not tax churches because if you look at the work the churches have done, then I was joking, then maybe we should have actually paid them for what they did, not really trying to tax them. But I wasn't really saying we should pay churches. No, I'm saying that we should give incentives to churches to do more. When we talk about our external development partners, we are giving them all sorts of import exemptions. But when we talk about our internal development partners like the churches or faith-based institutions, we don't give them any exemptions. But they do more in terms of development than many of our external development partners. So I'm saying that we should do more in the area of incentives, such as tax exemptions on import duties when you are coming in to build hospitals or schools and so on, to support the churches and the other faith-based organizations, because they are supporting government. And that is why I made that point.
I don't know whether this is very complicated for anybody to understand, but they said Dr. Bawumia said he was joking. How many times has he been joking, and that he's a joker and all of that? Now, politicians talk all the time, and they say things in jest. In America, in Britain, everywhere. Are we going to bring all the tapes of politicians who have said things in jest? I have things that President Mahama has said in jest, President Kufuor. Should I, if President Mahama is running for election, should I play the things he said in jest and say that, oh, no, we'll take your word for it, you are not joking? You have to engage with people in a light-hearted manner every now and then. Is that part of the 2024 campaign? Anyway, since Samuel Oku is here, he will tell us the details. First, though, here's a montage for Dr. Bawumia on this matter.
So I don't see, and I will not have, a situation where we are taxing the churches. We rather want to give churches incentives to support what government is doing. I want us to be partners. Unless you don't understand the work the church has done, if you're looking at the buildings, the way they try to keep the society together, the universities, the hospitals, the schools, it's massive. It's just massive. You share a Juma church ayeno. In fact, we should rather be paying them rather than they paying us.
Okay, couple, how's the campaign going?
Very well, Paul, and let me say good evening to the Good Evening Ghana viewers and watchers across the world. And I believe anytime that you set the stage, then the whole system is calm. Here, you don't do propaganda. You set the fact.
Absolutely.
Straight, and the fact speaks for itself. On the campaign trail, Dr. Bawumia, for the last 2 weeks, he's been engaging Ghanaians, the clergy, faith-based organizations, and the leadership of it. After that, he also in a region will engage the regional houses of chiefs. Then also engage in some door-to-door, house-to-house campaigning, meet and greet at lorry parks and markets.
It's like a difficult way. Do you guys plan this? Like, do you have it on paper?
The truth of the matter is that everything about the MPP's campaign has been well planned in the room.
So you know that when he arrives here, from here he's going here.
And that is one thing we don't take for granted at all. Every move of the MPP has been well thought out, planned, and that is why when people were complaining that they were not seeing the candidate out there, he hasn't been campaigning. Now we are on the road, and the feedback.
So this one we are watching was planned. All these people.
No. I'm talking about his movement.
But when you meet this kind of situation,
well, the spontaneity of what comes with his engagement. And, the unannounced visits to some of the places, the lorry parks. But when I say everything about the campaign is well planned, I'm talking about his movement plan.
Yeah.
And then again, we afford him an opportunity every day to have a conversation with the Ghanaian youth. We call it the Bawumia Youth Connect. And in every region, we target a particular group or targeted audience that he must also communicate and have a discussion with. In the Eastern region like this, he engaged those in the informal sector. The cart pushers, that of the apprentices, those with the hair, the cosmetology, that's of
tailors and dressmakers. So those young people in that trade, and those doing their own, someone was saying in inverted commas, buy and sell, or petty traders. And then at the end of the day, he would then engage with his party leadership, the elders of the party, the MPs, the parliamentary candidate, the regional executives, and the patrons and elders. He brings it to a close. Then later in the evening, he does some unannounced visits to some prominent figures. We are determined in this campaign to make sure that the candidate gets enough opportunity to engage with the Ghanaian public. The NPP is fighting this election not as an incumbent party. They are fighting this election as a party fighting from opposition to win elections. And so on the campaign trail, he's not behaving like he's a vice president. On the campaign trail, he's behaving as a candidate of a political party, determined to make sure that the possibility mindset is properly entrenched. The Ghanaian people will also have an option to choose between him and his brother from the north as well, who can best lead our nation to the next level of his development. So
don't you have incumbency baggage on the campaign? Don't they tell you that
every election comes with its own dynamics? And on the campaign trail, he's also not running away from policies of our party or government. And Paul, let me also make this clear. At the heart of democratic governance and good governance practices, the core of it also goes with feedback monitoring and also reviewing policies and programs that you put forward. The very policies and programs that you might have introduced some 5 years ago, 6 years ago, now they may not be relevant. You may have to review them based on the feedback, the monitoring, and what you want to do next. And that is why Dr. Bawumia has been very emphatic that there are things that they were very germane at that time when they were introduced. Moving forward to Ghana's next level, he believes that some of these taxes as well are things that he believes that we have to do away with it. If you look at the competitive nature of our ports as compared to that of the Togolese port, we are on the downside. His proposal, the bold solution that he's proposing is that it's either out the fees, the charges, the levies, the duties at the Ghanaian port is at par with that of Togo, or ours is below. So there will be no incentive for people to use the Togolese ports and smuggle the goods in to come and sell to the Ghanaian people. In that case, we do not win. If you take that of the e-levy, if you take that of this emission tax and all, he is clear and fortified in his belief that the e-levy might have served its purpose when it was introduced, because it was a post-COVID levy that was also geared towards helping us to mobilize some revenue for nations' development. At this point in time, we are coming out of the post-COVID situation. The economy is turning a corner, and he's confident that it's about time that we do away with that levy by the end of the year. So he's making some very bold proposals.
But your opponents are saying that he's vice president. He should implement.
He's vice president.
Yes, he should implement.
That's what I'm saying. He's not running away from the policies of the government.
So he should implement the bold policies, some of it now.
Well, you know, when our opponents talk, sometimes it's as if that they themselves forget about the situation they took this nation to. If you read the Africa Report magazine for 2014-2015, in just 2014 alone, over 250 Ghanaians died out of cholera. 250 Ghanaians. So assuming this was the same political party in power during COVID, I'm sure almost every household might have lost a relation or relative. The implementation of many of the policies of this government, Dr. Bawumia has been key in it. And this is not the time that he will say that, oh, because this policy, I disagree with it, or I would have disagreed with it, or I might have disagreed. That is not the position. He believes that for everything that the government, the party, we might have engaged in terms of policy direction, what he has also shared as an opinion, what he has advocated for, and also introducing a very crucial element in our economic program, that's the digital sector or the digitalization sector, has seen many Ghanaians now witnessing the gains. First, when he spoke about the use of the Ghana card as a means of travel, people mocked him. You happen to also chair a very important board in this country, where that is a gateway into our country. And day in, day out, people are coming in using the Ghana card.
Collins Dowda went to South Africa with the Ghana card.
Absolutely. And then you had these young Ghanaians who went by road to the United Kingdom. And the Ghana card was the means of identity for them as they did travel across Africa. The man spoke about how he can also ensure that there's sanity in the system when you want to even get hold of the driver's license. And people mocked him that it wasn't possible. But today, if you want to get a driver's license, that by just sitting in the comfort of your home, you can start the process and still get the driver's license. Look at the medical drone services, to the extent that now some Ghanaians have been recruited from that medical drone delivery sector to now offer support to what is being done in the United States and that of Japan. So the nation has taken a step, and the world is also not waiting for us to catch up. And I believe that Dr. Bawumia will make a very fine precedent. The policy, the direction, and even the budget statement of a government, this reflects the views, the ideas, and the position of a president. And it is read on behalf by the finance minister. So if you also check Article 58, 59, the president holds the executive authority of the state, and all other people are supposed to help him achieve this mandate. And that is also true appointment. It is true that it's always a ticket of a president and a vice. But on the ballot, you don't see a vice. You see a presidential candidate. The president, when he's also elected as a flag bearer, it takes him some time to go through the mail before he brings in his partner as a running mate or vice presidential candidate. It is the duty of the vice presidential candidate or the vice president to see through his boss's vision and support him to achieve that vision. So you may have your ideas, but at that point in time, the man in charge of the destiny of our country can tell you that on the dashboard that I can see, I take your advice, or your advice is persuasive, but I think this is the direction we can go. And it can also then support him to deliver with precision the very vision that he wants to also achieve. And that's what Dr. Bawumia has done perfectly. In 2024, December, there's no mathematical gymnastics that can convince me that the president that will be elected will not be of northern extraction.
Yes, it will be for sure.
It will be for sure. And so this election is not just about the NDC or the NPP. It's about the two candidates. Luckily, they've all been vice presidents before. One has moved on to become president before. The choice that will confront the Ghanaian people and for us to make that final determination will be that who can best lead us? When this one was vice president, what did he do? When this one also became vice president with that position, what did he do? Luckily, one moved on to become president. So he was no longer in a persuasive position to advise his boss. He was the one in charge of the nation's affairs. So in that case, what did he also do in terms of proposals, interventions, policies? A single most important policy that also changed the fortunes and the destiny of our country. Then this one too will have to come and also give account. So the choice between John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, His Excellency, will be in 4 years' time, if you take a long shot into that future, one of them can come back to account for his stewardship. One will not. Dr. Bawumia, if he wants to have a second term, must perform in a first term for him to get a second term in office. But for President Mahama, a vote for him means it's a goodbye, because you will not have any opportunity to also question his stewardship again, because he owes you no.
But they said that he would like NDC to win, so he would, on that account of that, he will be able to perform well. But
the NDC will be on the ballot, but he won't be on the ballot. First, all politics was global. Then it was redefined by campaign strategies to be all politics was local. Now he has been further redefined to be all politics is personal.
Personal.
It is personal.
Local to personal.
Local to personal. From global to local, local to personal. So if it is personal, if I know I'm going to be on the ballot, I know how I'll conduct myself. But if I know it's Paul or generally Metro TV that will be on the ballot, that's also a different vibe and a different feeling. You have to work hard.
Are you guys running away from this election being a referendum on Akufo-Addo's tenure?
Take it or leave it. You are presented with two choices. Of course, there are other people in the race, there are other parties and all, but I am clear as a student of political science, I know this election is about the two candidates. This election is not a referendum only on the NPP or Akufo-Addo. It's also a referendum on what Ghanaians want to achieve in the next 4 years. The NPP under John Adekun Kufuor in 2004 introduced a free maternal care policy. President Kufuor, in his wisdom, believed that if the Ghanaian woman is supported with this particular incentive to give her an opportunity to deliver safe and sound, that child someday can become somebody. That was his vision. If you take a long shot after President Kufuor's one of his most important interventions of free maternal care, these kids that were delivered during Kufuor's era were the first beneficiaries of President Akufo-Addo's free SHS.
Let's calculate. 208.
Yeah.
No, that policy was 205, was it?
204, 205.
Okay, so children born in 205. 2017, how old are they? 5 to 15 is 10.
Yeah.
So 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost there.
Yeah. And so if you had had an NPP government being in office from Kufuor's era throughout, free SHS might have been implemented way earlier.
Yeah, 09, 010.
And then again, even though we inherited an IMF economy in 2017, Paul, we never looked back. We implemented that free SHS. That today, if you do the calculation from 2017 up to 2024, we are talking about in excess of 2.4 million kids.
Educated by taxpayers'
money. If you go to these Asian tigers, they didn't have these resources that we do have, but they decided to educate their people. And no matter how bad the situation is, when you have at least some basic education, you can read and write, you can do some basic arithmetic. The five fingers are not the same. Anytime I go to the cemetery, after a burial service and all, something dawns on me. There are so many fertile minds that are buried there. There are people who died with the dream of becoming a future Paul Ladomotre. People who died with the dream of becoming leader of our country. Wanted to be doctors, wanted to be nurses, but they didn't get helpers. There are people that today, as I keep saying, the five fingers are not the same. If they were offered the same opportunities that you and I had, I'm sure some way, somehow, they would have been in better positions. But because the uncle who was taking care of him, the mother or the father who was taking care of him or her died, that child's life, future, dream was cut off. So anytime things that goes to the heart of affecting even the poor, the vulnerable, and people want us to play games with it, is something that hurt. The teacher training, nursing training allowance.
The worst of the free SHS is those who had stopped school, who went back.
That's
in primary secondary, recorded people who had stopped for school fees, came back and said, can I come? They said, yeah, you can come.
Yes.
That's serious.
Oh, that's serious, And, for people who think that Hakuna Matata, no worries, that it's a normal course of event, that, after this stage, you get to that stage. Life is not like that. Paul, people go through hell sometimes to sell their personal belongings just to enter senior high school. And if today we have many of such people being stomached in the belly of a government and being, supported with the taxpayers' money, you and I have seen footballers who could have been great if they had at least had some basic education in terms of their contract.
Charles Taylor.
Many of them. The names are there. The World Pele kind of footballers. We've produced some in this country.
If Charles Taylor had gone to Achimota, he would have been Messi.
I mean, Awudi, Saka, and all. Those days, you had some of these big names. But maybe if they had had an opportunity to even go higher in their education, it is clear that maybe they could have been at that height of football, like the Ronaldos and the Messis and all. If you take the teacher training and the nursing training allowances, for instance, Paul, some of these allowances, these students use it to support their families back home. It's not just for them.
We know that,
There will be challenges.
Even national service allowance.
There will be arrears. But I will prefer a government that any day will not run away from challenges. Because challenges will come.
But then this is saying you're not paying teacher training.
There will be arrears. But then, once the government still holds that determination and states that no matter what, whatever it will take us to still go to, we will. And that during the COVID era, some nations were not paying their civil servants. Some nations slashed the salaries of civil servants. This government did not. In fact, many governments fell in 2020. The Akufo-Addo government and that of the NPP were among the few that survived.
Winning elections.
Because this government believed that, look, whatever it will take for us to mobilize the little that we can to support our people in the darkest hour, nations had to make choices. Paul, you had to decide on two grounds, either to rescue your economy or rescue your citizens. This government was presented with a choice. If you go to Spain and Italy, Doctors had to decide who to live, who to die. In the United States, Trump had to make a decision to save the American economy and led to almost 2 million people dying. In the United Kingdom, it was about choices. In Ghana, the NPP decided to instead hold on to its citizens, protect the citizens, and ensure that we can bring back our economy when the people are healthy and are alive. But then we cannot bring back lives. Of course, it came with its own attendant hardship. And globally, times are tough, and I kid you not. Continentally, we are in a terrible shape. And locally, we are in an extraordinary situation. But I believe that if you have a government, and if you listen to the IMF and the rendition, the narration that is coming out of it, they are also surprised about Ghana's recovery process. And they think it's been much faster than they even envisaged. If you want to see the glorious days of the NPP and what we can do, even under conditions, I won't say under good conditions, under conditions, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. This government, even though it was under an IMF economy, still delivered on its industrialization drive. And people spoke about the fact that if you talk about 1D, 1F, it's not everywhere. But we are in excess of 100.
100 factories?
100. And we prefer a situation where if you have a government that on any day will also tell you that, look, in spite of our challenges, if we can even build 100 or 50, let me even say 20.
Of the hospitals?
No, I'm talking about the 1D, 1F, the factories. Someday, in the next few years, you're going to have a situation where people are now going to see the benefit of this industrialization thing that was started by Akufo-Addo because of the value chain. Now you are, let's say, at the production level or the outgrowers level. A time will come, they will move from that stage to production, from production to the marketing and the consumption. It's going to create its own value chain and employment opportunities there. So, yes, Dr. Bawumia has been speaking about
so Akufo-Addo is a foundation layer.
Fantastic. Look, this election, the NPP will campaign on the strength of its policies. And the NPP will also campaign on the strength of our presidential candidate. And we believe that we want to make that forceful point that when Dr. Bawumia was presented with an opportunity as a vice president, if you tick the boxes, this was what he was able to do. When you give him a bigger position as president of the republic, he is also in a position to do more. He does not believe that there should be a word like impossibility in our dictionary. Because for everything that you want to set out to do, once it satisfies your conscience and conviction, and you believe that with sheer determination, strength, you will be able to cross that. Today, nobody ever envisaged that an Akan-dominated party like the New Patriotic Party will elect an Ordner as its leader. Because the delegates who elected him were predominantly Akans.
They said it wasn't possible.
They said it wasn't possible. Secondly, nobody ever thought that...
it's never going to happen.
In fact, even President Mahama said we're going to use him and dump him.
And dump him, yes.
And then if you also take NPP as a political party, not in its lifetime did people ever think that a Christian-dominated party like the NPP will elect a Muslim as its leader. So what the NPP has successfully done, we are judging you based on the content of your character and what you bring to the table, not on the content or the color of your skin or your ethnic background or your religious background. And Paul, I'm not too sure that you've ever been on board a plane and before it took off, you asked the religion or creed of the pilot.
No, or you go to a hospital, you're not well, and
because
you ask the pilot, the doctor,
at that point in time, that is not your primary focus.
No.
Your primary focus is to get to your final destination. Hunger knows no religion, creed, or ethnic orientation. If I am hungry and somebody is providing me with the needed food to survive, that person becomes my God. And I believe that if you check both the Christian Bible and the Muslims' Quran, it gives credence to you making sure you take that first step of faith to achieve something. And there's this Holy Quran, chapter 13, verse 11, verse that I'm so much attracted to. It says, verily, 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 Allah will not change the condition of a group of people until they change it themselves. It's meaning that Allah recognizes you have to take that first step for him to bless it. If you take the Holy Bible, the book of Zechariah chapter 4 verse 9, says, Zerubbabel, the hand that you have used to start the building, you use that hand to complete. Meaning that you need to start with a certain hand. So yes, we've laid the foundation, and I believe that nobody can better explain, nobody can better take us to our next level than Dr. Bawumia. On the religious point that you were playing, the man was very emphatic. And I will use just one phrase, one line in his he said, Ejuma in sorry, he was talking about the investment in our educational sector. Hundreds of these senior high schools and schools were built by the missions, faith-based organization. I'm a product of a Catholic school, St. Augustine's. So meaning that if the Catholic Church and its members had not invested in setting up that school, I'm not sure I'd have attended a school like that. The Presecans, they are beneficiaries of the benevolence of the Basel Mission, the Presbyterian Church, and its congregation. If you take that of the Anglicans, the same. So across, his point was that where we have reached in our nation's development, instead of giving waivers and incentives alone to these foreign or development partners, it's about time that we also give that same respect and support to these churches who are engaged in such investment. And because he was emphatic in the examples about the hospitals, about the schools. Today, the Church of Pentecost has moved a step further to even partner government or building a prison. I'm not too sure that is going to be the retirement home of the leader of the Pentecost Church or that of the elders of the church, but it's their way of also contributing to the nation's development to decongest our prisons. You have several hospitals built by the Catholic Church and across. So for me, his point that he was making was that if there's a way that we can deepen this cooperation and support these churches, because look, if I'm going to build a school and government can support me to build schools, the church is a pat on the shoulder. Dr. Bawumia himself has contributed personally to building some of these schools. A school in Kwabuanta, in the Ayensuano district, was personally funded by him, even though the Presby Church approached him to support them in building that basic school. He ended up building it as his contribution towards that, towards the church's effort in bringing education to the doorstep of the people in that locality. And so it's been across. I'm sure day in, day out, you see charity initiatives of some of these churches. Of course, they will go overboard. Some of them will go overboard here and there. But the principle that you are supporting these faith-based organizations to see themselves as partners of development, because they travel. The leaders of some of these churches travel. So when they go to see something out there which is good, it wouldn't be a disincentive for them to bring that good thing home. But instead, they can see a government that is willing to partner them to bring some of this development closer to our doorstep. So that's what Dr. Bawumia has been talking about. In the mining sector, he's been very resolute that, look, it is about time that we have a review of our policy on mining. Let's register the young men or young women, anybody that is engaged in small-scale mining. And then at the district level, have district mining committees. That includes chiefs, for us to give them the initial licenses to these miners as you take them through the processes for Minerals Commission and the rest to also regularize it. In that case, what is abominable is mining in water bodies or near our river bodies. That is a no-no. But somebody cannot be a resident of Pristi Ahuni Valley, which the mainstay of that economy there is mining, and you are telling the person to go fishing. It won't work. And let's also not pretend that people are not mining. People are mining. So these people cannot be in that locality, see the gold, the minerals being exploited and taken away, and they become just observers of their resources being plundered. Again, he moves further to also talk about establishing a minerals development bank in collaboration with the private sector. The NPP, as you also stated, is a capitalist party, a party that believes in free market, and we believe in the private sector being the engine of growth, and also as a lead partner to government in the nation's development. So he's been talking, he's been speaking, he's been making some bold proposals. This election will not be about who can insult best. This election will be a contest of ideas, and the idea that can propel Ghana to the next level. You will not find me insulting Dr. Bawumia's opponent, because that is not my job. My job is how I can market him, his ideas, amplify his voice for people who may not understand, to understand that there's going to be another dawn of our development. He said, effective January, let's have a tax amnesty. Whatever you owe, let's put brakes on it. Let's start from a clean slate. So that you start paying your taxes. The taxes works very well. If you buy something and it's 1,000 Ghana, you know that 10% of it is 100 cedis.
Yeah.
You can easily calculate it. There's no rocket science. But that system where you get an invoice or receipt and broken down into several particles that you may not even understand. So he believes that that era where you also will have GRA being more antagonistic towards businesses. And so people can then no longer even show face that they are doing business. Mm-hmm. The era where you have people, GRA officials, go to sit in front of people's shops, maybe Jimmy tax, he thinks that that cannot be. We should reduce the human-to-human connection even in our tax mobilization. In that case, his thinking and his bold proposal is that, first of all, through digitalization, we help you to file your taxes. Mm-hmm. It's only when we suspect that there's something wrong that then we come to you to rectify it or to get it right. And that auditing somebody twice a year and every year, year in, year out, he doesn't think it's a good way to go about it. It's only when you underdeclare that you are doing something fishy, you are not being truthful and accurate. That is when you can have these tax officials showing their faces. So,
but how would you catch the people who are dodging tax by digital means?
Well, everybody has a TIN number now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And everybody has a Ghana card. Mm-hmm. That linkage between your TIN and your Ghana card. And look, it's not that people don't want to pay taxes, but the calculation of it can be confusing. Mm-hmm. And so if I know that I bought something worth 100 cedis, the tax I'm paying, if assuming it's 10%, is 10 cedis. Mm-hmm. I can calculate it. But where I'm unable to even see my left from my right, that is where the problem is. And I believe that...
so he's talking about policies to
and
people.
Programs. So this election is going to go down to the wire. And so far he's done the Eastern region, he's done the Western region, he's done the Western North, he's done the Ahafo, he's done the Bono, he's done the Bono East. He was in Northeast, his home region yesterday, and tomorrow he continues to Savannah. So he's done with the 16 regional tour. And then we will then drill down to the constituencies. So this is the first
back
phase.
In and out to constituencies.
This is the regional
What about
tour.
the running mate? People want to know.
I think that I said something in the morning which has been misinterpreted. Mm-hmm. First of all, the party's constitution mandates the presidential candidate in consultation with the National Council to select the running mate.
Yeah.
Dr. Bawumia, when he appeared before National Council, asked for some extended period as he deepens his consultation, because it was clear at National Council. And yes, we're already in May, and people are still awaiting the running mate announcement. He's still on with his consultation. The National Council is made up of some key blocks that I believe that he wants to tick all these boxes. Deepen that consultation. It includes the president, includes the former president, it includes regional chairman as a block, national executives as a block. The chairman of the Council of Elders and some members of the elders are part of National Council. Every region is represented. So if you want to go there and not have an acrimonious debate or discussion, your best strategy is to reach out to the various stakeholders within it. And that this is the person, or these are the people I'm thinking about. And so I want to share some ideas with you. And I think this is the consultation he has begun. And when he is ready, he should be able to come back to us.
Will he be a woman? Will he be a woman?
I think he'll be a Ghanaian.
Oh, a Ghanaian?
Yes.
But you don't know whether to be a woman?
That I can't tell. That I can't tell. But what I do know is that he'll be a Ghanaian. And,
Wow.
and again...
Which is a better situation? John Mahama has his running mate, doesn't have his campaign team yet. You have your campaign team, you don't have your running mate. Which is more tense?
It is important for the leader of the party to put himself out there first. It is a ticket, but the leader will be on the ballot. So the nation must know you. Don't think they know you.
That because they heard about you?
No.
You have to go and press the flesh.
You have to go and press the flesh. They must feel you. There was one picture you showed. A small boy, the way he held Dr. Bawumia's hand with the two hands, said, "Shall I feel you?" So now I've been seeing you on TV. I've seen you. You have the young people, the Gen Zs out there. They want to fraternize. You also have the market women, the traders. They've been hearing of you. They need to see you. So you as the leader and the one on the ballot, first, you must cross that river of the people profiling you, knowing you, and then you bring your partner. It's like, quote unquote, a marriage. You bring your partner on board. At that time, you'd have had a fair idea of the dynamics across the country. It's on the basis of that it will inform you in the choice of your running mate that where do I think I need a good complement. So I think that in his mind now,
let's talk about the bus.
His mind now, I don't envy him.
It's tough.
I think it's tough. In his mind,
is he considering you, Samia Oku, for it?
No, I'm going to Parliament.
I know that. But,
so, and I'm already a candidate.
Maybe he's considering you for it.
No. I'm not part of it. But
are we not looking for a young person?
What I do know that he himself has been taking the opportunity to do that little by little, looking out, assessing people, profiling in his head. In his head or in his mind. Then from there, when he's convinced that these are the names that I may have or I have thought of, then he will proceed to also be sharing it with some of the stakeholders that I mentioned within the National Council. But of course, elections in 2008, he was selected in August. And so, yes, the people will complain that we are in May. I still believe that when he's done with that deep introspection and assessment, and this
could he be taking us to August again?
My sense is that, and this I'm speaking for myself. My sense is that he may want to do it earlier when he's done, with all these consultations. He may
want to do it.
He may want to do it earlier.
This issue about the bus, your opponents say that you are hoodwinking us. You show a bus on social media, and then when they trail your campaign, they see 43 Land Cruisers, and Dr. Bawumia is one of them.
Oh, I counted. Dr. Bawumia is one of the Land Cruisers.
Yes.
But Dr. Bawumia is mostly in the bus.
How does it work? So you're moving
mostly
from
in the bus. The bus even during the
Agona to Sefirio, so you're moving from, say, Esikado to Sefirio. So how does it work?
So what we do is that because it's just the color is blue, you may think that it's just one bus.
Oh, I see.
Yes. So and
it's more than one bus.
And that is the trick. Yeah, it's more than one bus.
I see.
So because it's just one color for branding, it's more than a bus.
Oh, all the buses are branded same.
They're branded same.
Oh, I see.
And it's for good reason.
Okay.
So you may think that the bus is just in Accra. It's not. He has a bus in the northern sector, in the middle belt, in the western and the eastern part of our country. So
when you are moving, you move in the bus.
We move in the bus.
But you'll be
and
slow.
He himself, he enjoys the bus. And it's
so who are in the bus?
So he also serves even as our mini campaign office in the bus. We use that during the primaries.
Oh, okay.
So in there.
So when the bus takes off, you have a meeting.
When the bus takes off, we say our prayers and we offer praises to God, then we set off. And then at the end of the day, we also conclude it with prayers as well. In between the journeys, we also share ideas. It's like a coach, with his team.
So who are in the bus?
Those in the bus. Why do you want to know those in the bus? Okay, so you normally definitely will have the candidate. And I'm sure there was this picture that I saw when the students ambushed him. He was getting out of the bus. In the bus, you have
this one.
Exactly. So in the bus. So in the bus, you have members of his campaign team, and you also will have some key personalities from the region that he is visiting. Then you have one or two from his security and media team in the bus.
Who gets down first?
All of us get down first.
No, somebody will get down first.
The one who is seated close,
yeah, he gets down
that
first.
security man must get down first for us to know that the system is set.
I see.
But the truth is
that's the bus over there.
So as you see this blue bus, it's an
so
iconic,
you have more than one of this?
Yes, it's an iconic blue bus.
Oh, I see.
During the primaries also, we used buses. So it wasn't just a bus. Just that one was just white. For the general elections, it's blue.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
And then so it's more than.
Is it a comfortable bus?
Leadership is not about comfort. Leadership is about sacrifices. And if you want to lead, you must first learn to serve. You must suffer through the process. And so he's become addicted to the bus, and it's something that he has come to enjoy. In fact, it was his idea.
It was his idea?
To campaign in the bus.
I see.
The "It is possible" slogan. And I can tell you, nobody coined that slogan for him. He chose it. He brought that slogan that this is what I want to brand myself and lead the Ghanaian people to the next level. So it came from him. And if you check his social media page, he tweeted it first. That first post, "It is possible," with the flag of Ghana and NPP.
Wow. So what are your chances of winning? Information that is coming to newsrooms indicate that the MPP appears to be ahead in parliament, but trailing in the presidential if the election were to happen today.
The good news is that elections will not happen this evening.
Yeah, they will.
We will have over 6 months to go for the general elections. We only started our campaign just last 2 weeks. Our opponents, they've been campaigning for the last 1 year. And I can confidently tell you that the polls that I've seen and what we have also done from an objective space, I can tell you in Parliament you are right, and also at the presidential level we are slightly ahead. But we are not campaigning as an incumbent. This election, Paul, I told you the last time I came here, many people will win the elections based on strategy. NDC will not understand. We are proposing solutions. NPP will not attempt, we are not interested in trying or attempt to even rig a single ballot. But our deep thought out strategy planning and leading to execution, and also communicating what we can do to the Ghanaian people. And also on the ballot in 2024 will be a choice between hope and hopelessness, between the future that you are dreaming of and the future that you can never get. It will be a choice between a young man who is also determined that this is what I can do for my people when given an opportunity. And so, for me, I believe this election will go down to the wire. The NPP will not...
Is it going into a second round, the presidential election?
We want to campaign hard to win these elections at the first round. As I said, I won't kid you, it will be a tough elections for both parties. And the youth will determine and tilt the balance of power. And so the NPP is working hard. Let me commend my youth leader, Salam Mustafa, for their innovation that they brought and the vibrancy within the youth wing. And let me commend the presidential candidate himself for introducing the Bawumia Youth Connect as a major feature of his campaign. And because, you know, anytime that you box the youth into one basket and said, oh, 18 to 40, they are all you make a mistake. They have different aspirations. They have different interests. And there are some, they can sing the songs of their favorite music icons, A to Z, but they may not know even the original minister's name.
I see.
Yes. And so if you go to talk to them about hardcore policies, you will fail. For them, if they see Asamoah Gyan, Asamoah Gyan is chairman of a big political party's manifesto committee for sports and youth, meaning that regardless of my status, me to this party too can grant me or give me an opportunity. It's a major speaking point. And so those two from the 26 to 30 have different dreams, They are thinking about a future of employment. 18 to 21, sports, entertainment, chilling squad. What is your message to them?
Chilling squad.
Yes. I've been a youth leader before. So, and how to also shepherd them.
She doesn't agree with you. She's smiling.
They have all the event calendar trackers.
Okay.
And they will tell you what is happening left or on the flip side.
Yeah.
Well, that was your heydays. You and I, our heydays. But don't think that it's not somebody's present.
So they really don't care about those your policies. They are looking at their future.
Many of the young people from 18 to 21, they should give even 4 names of ministers. They won't know.
How do you get them to vote on voting day?
But Paul, I can't tell you that. It's an election between us, between God's people and the other side. And I cannot tell you what God's people will be doing to win that election.
Oh, that's interesting. That's at least you identify it this way.
Yes.
What about your own constituency? I know it's a safe
interesting.
seat. What's going to happen?
So what I'm doing is I do in and out, support the campaign team on the field, and then I dash to also support the constituency. We have registered over 1,000, almost 1,200 so far in the Kwapem North constituency. So far it's been peaceful, no challenges here and there. It's orderly. We've had some few issues of faulty machines here and there, and on and offline, the fluctuating nature of the network. But by and large, the patience of the young people is what will be at stake. And I like the way they are stepping out. And I've seen many of them, with wristbands in my constituency. I just got registered. It is possible, and it's refreshing.
Oh wow!
Yes,
that's interesting.
And whoever did it for them,
some of us cannot have a campaign. The campaign will be boring if you don't deploy Samia as Hajia Samira Bawumia. Yeah. When are you deploying her? We want to see her. We want to hear her talk. She's going to give us energy. Yeah. Without her, the campaign is boring. We can never forget 2016.
And her speeches.
So you talk about strategy. When is she going to be deployed?
I think Hajia will be playing her role. And let's finish with our first round, the first phase of the tour, where the candidate himself must be out there.
Okay. Is Dr. Bawumia prepared to do a presidential debate?
Dr. Bawumia is open to debate.
Really?
Oh,
he will debate John Mahama?
He's open to debate, provided the ground is fair.
Ground?
Yes.
IEA debate.
Well, that's something he's open to debate. And that is one of his strengths. He won't run away from it. But the rules of engagement must be clear.
You don't want somebody coughing.
Well, you don't want, you don't enter into a meeting without knowing the agenda. So you must know that these are the rules of engagement. This is what we are all getting into. There will be fair application of the rules. Paul may have his biases, but if Paul is the moderator, Paul must be fair to all of us that I'll get my 3 minutes to speak, I'll get the right of rebuttal, and Paul must also convince me that these are not photocopied questions.
That somebody else has seen.
Yes, I am getting to see it for the first time.
And somebody has already
seen it. For some people, it's been a mock that they prepared with it. And so,
do you know Professor Jenna Opoku-Agyeman?
Yes, the very respected.
Yes, she's the running mate of the NDC.
Yes.
She's hit the campaign now.
Yes.
Is that a border? Do you factor her into your plans?
Prof is doing what she has been asked to do, and that is to campaign. So she's campaigning, but she won't be the focus of the NPP in this election.
John Mahama is the focus.
Our focus is, our biggest opponent is President Mahama. And so Prof is an added personality to President Mahama's campaign. I won't take it away from her. She's a respected academic. For herself, she's done so well as a woman, and also when she was Vice Chancellor at the UCC and all. But where we are now, I think I don't think that ticket can deliver the shared prosperity that the Ghanaian people are looking at.
Let's take text messages and then we'll be wrapping up very soon. Cameraman, tell me where to start. Fatty?
So this is coming from Bajan Nuruddin, and it says Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia echoes economic growth. His focus on job creation is fueling Ghana's economic engine. Now coming from Louisa Anochi, says these are the communicators we want to see on radio and TV going forward. Inshaba Anelka says His Excellency Dr. Bawumia has a track record which shows that he has the capacity to come up with solutions to the nation's problem. Let's keep the NDC in opposition to make Ghana work again. Now coming from David, he says, hello couple, are you aware the campaign strategy your presidential candidate has adopted has huge security challenges? Hope you realize what I'm implying. Now, also coming from Etia Kujo, he says, Paul, Dr. Bawumia's engagement with the market men and women and household is something he should intensify throughout his campaign. What do you have for us?
All right, this is from Walasi. He says, we are most grateful to the Almighty Allah for giving us Dr. Bawumia. DMB all the way. This is from Yasa, North Gunja. He also says, Paul, you are setting the standard and I wish your colleague journalists would copy your style of journalism. Good evening, couple. This is from Louis. He says, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is a visionary leader who has foresight. He is absolutely the best man for presidency. Come December 7th, he would lead Ghana. The battle is indeed the Lord's. This is from Ebenezer Ochi. He says, couple, you do all. I am enjoying the show coming from Jabin North. This one is also from Anak. He says, His Excellency Dr. Bawumia has a track record that shows that he has the capability to come up with solutions. Let's keep the NDC in opposition. Inshallah, may Almighty Allah bless him and guide him. Dr. Bawumia won't be president. He will make it possible. Inshaba says, everywhere Dr. Bawumia goes, his sense is there. Ghanaians know very well that Dr. Bawumia is far better than John Dramani Mahama, who wasted 8 years as vice president of Ghana. What do you have for us, Zanzibar?
All right, so we have from Samira Asuli saying, Dr. Bawumia is an institution. We have Ignatius saying, Dr. Bawumia, please make your statement clear so that people can take you more seriously. We can entrust 30 million plus into your hands and later tell us you are joking. We have from Mohammed Yusufa, the statement Bawumia made in Bono was clear, and he said, incentives and so. There was no need for him to even say he was joking. Maxwell Entry says, Dr. Bawumia, the love is deep. Incoming president of Ghana, if you don't like it, move to Togo. George Wampong says, I always say it takes a strong mind and deep thinking brain to understand Dr. Bawumia. His comment about churches on taxes is clear, and there's no need for long explanations. He was talking about the old churches, like the SDAs, the Pentecost, the Methodists, the Anglicans and the Catholics, and not even the one-man churches. Even them, we have some contributions. Lastly, from Samira Suli again, good evening, couple. Keep up the great job. God bless your hustle. Back to you, Paul.
Well, couple, we have the last word and then we'll wrap up.
So, Paul, I will still urge the NPP to once again define the campaign well. It's a campaign of ideas. And I believe that the presidential candidate's voice must be amplified. Let's be focused. Let's not be distracted. As for petty mocks here and there, it's part of the game. But you know, if you take a 30-second bite of a video and circulate and mock the candidate, people go look for the full video and watch. And that will be a means of they getting to hear more.
Yeah.
And so in your attempt to discredit him, you will end up also campaigning for your opponent. So I think that I like what the NDC is doing. This election, and I'll conclude by saying that it will go down to the last minute. And the NPP, once we are focused, we are determined, we campaign on our issues and the strength of our candidate and what he brings to the table. And let's not be complacent. Let's campaign like we are in opposition. And let's take our message to the Ghanaian people. Paul, it is possible. Thank you, sir.
All right, that was Samir Oku. It's election year, so you'll be hearing campaign interviews like that from various campaign teams here on Good Evening Ghana. Thanks for watching. We'll meet on Thursday. Good night. Arsenal could not win the league.